Hey guys, it's Dustin, and I'm not doing a regular intro this time. You're going to get a custom intro because we've made it to 50 episodes, folks. Since this started in the spring of 2015, and we're coming up on 3 years this spring, I've been so fired up about doing this show and turning this microphone on every week or every couple of weeks, and I just love it so much. So today I wanted to do a special show and thought I would intro with a little bit of voiceover and basically talk about hunting and fishing in the outdoor world with the guys that got me started in media, and that's Mac and Prowler. Mac is Randy McMillan, Prowler is Bill Henson, and these guys I've each had on the show individually over the years. And the second podcast I think we ever had in 2015 was actually a recycle of a podcast that I did with the interviews with the hunting masters, which now is John Stallone's show. He has a podcast called Interview with the Hunting Masters, and I highly suggest you check that out, especially if you're interested in hunting Western game. He's an incredible hunter, has a great TV show called Days in the Wild, and interviewed for that show Randy McMillan on predator hunting. That was show number 2, and then had Mac Prowler on several times, and basically I got them both on this show for kind of a rare three-way call interview, if you will, and really had a lot of fun with this. Hope you guys enjoy it. Welcome to the best of the outdoors. So, again, I'm your host, Dustin Von Warnke, author, outdoor writer, videographer, speaker, podcaster. Most of you guys know that by now. 50 episodes. Really excited about this week and really fired up to bring the show to you. So, we are in deer gun season here in Texas now, and there's a lot of exciting things happening. One of the processors I work with, or a couple, I actually work with 4 processors now, deer processors and taxidermy studios, and they're all gearing up, and they're all excited about this weekend, and this is a cool thing. So I'm recording this right before the weekend of the opener. You'll be hearing this podcast after that weekend, but I'm going hunting in Mason, Texas, and I'll get a video to post on YouTube here pretty soon, and we'll showcase that to you and kind of show you where I've been and what I'm doing, and hopefully we'll get a deer. I'm hunting with my beloved Mosing Nagant 7.62x54 rim, very similar to a 308 or a 30-06, and really cool Russian round that's been in existence since the late 1800s, over 100 years, and still going strong. So the Russian Mosin Nagant 70-year-old plus deer rifle pressed it into hunting service. So really a lot of fun. So you'll notice that I talk more with Randy, Mr. Mac, of Mac and Prowler, more on this show than I do with Bill, because we were having issues, and you'll kind of hear some of the staticky issues that we were having with Prowler's line connection once we got into the show. But by goodness, if it's not one thing, it's another when it comes to technology, and we just kind of roughed through it, and I did some editing, and everything looks good on the show. So hopefully you enjoyed this. We'll be talking about hunting, we'll talk about fishing, we'll be talking about a little bit of everything, the outdoors, kind of the basis of the state of the industry and that kind of stuff as well, and the basis of why we get out and hunt and fish and teach our kids and our loved ones how to hunt and fish. And so we talk about a lot of that good stuff in the show. Here is our interview with Mr. Mac and Prowler. Joining me on the phone are Randy McMillan and Bill Henson, Mac and Prowler, from the Mac and Prowler TV show that originates out of Texarkana. How are you gentlemen doing this evening?
Simply marvelous.
We're doing great.
That's great. So it's not too often, I think this is the first time in my podcast history that I've had 2 guys on at the same time. But I mean, and forgive us if we talk over each other. We're just used to it. We're old buddies at this, But we've had a lot of fun over the years. I joined the Mac and Prowler team in 2011 as kind of the marketing guy. And the TV show basically, revolves around predator hunting, but also fishing and, big game hunting. And that's what I kind of brought to the table. I started writing with Mac and Prowler, outdoor writing, articles and blogs and that kind of stuff. I started this podcast through them. And then it was taken over by Texas Fish and Game. And I mean, this has just been a dream come true. After 50 episodes, this being the 50th one, we started out with Mac and Prowler, so we're going to continue with a celebration here in the middle, with Mac and Prowler again.
maybe we can do the 100th episode also.
That's right. I figure every milestone we'll just have you guys back on. That's what I was thinking.
That sounds good.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, but I can't thank you guys enough because I got my start with Texas Fishing Game by meeting them at the SHOT Show in 2013. I have so much to thank you guys for, but you guys are your own kind of outdoor icons in a lot of people's eyes, and I definitely look up to that too, because y'all are kind of hunting legends especially here in the Northeast Texas area. Do you want to talk any about what you guys have been up to lately?
Dang, you
Lately?
feel old.
Well, Mac can fill you in on the lately part when it comes to the hunting, because we've been working on pigs. I just ride along with him and shooting video.
Right. Oh,
Yeah, lately we ain't been doing nothing but hog control for farmers.
Cool.
That's the main thing we've been doing here lately, and I think I had a little spell with a sciatic nerve put me down, but I'm over that now. But in the last 5 weeks, I just started keeping up with it. I went a long time, didn't really keep up with what I was doing, and
Sure.
I think as of last night, in the last 6 weeks or so, that made 91 hogs that we killed.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a good number. So.
We do it with the thermal and night vision, and we shoot with thermal, drive with night vision, and then we run on the Hogzilla.
Mm-hmm.
That's our ride. We ride in.
The Hogzilla.
It's a Mark IV with tracks on it, a 6-wheeler with tracks is what it is.
Oh, cool.
And the good thing about the track rig is you go on farmers' places and, landowners that let you go out there and hunt. Well, with this track vehicle, we leave very little sign that we've been there. And you go in a place, and you go to rutting it up, well, then you're not going to be invited back.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So this a vehicle like that keeps things a little bit more calm when it comes to the soil and the area, right?
Right, absolutely.
No,
I can run over places, that where they've been on side-by-sides and stuff, and we'll actually level out their tracks.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. No, that's cool.
That's what one of the farmers told us.
It's a really nice hog hunting machine.
Oh, cool. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I said that's just what one of the farmers told us. He was amazed because he saw where we had ran over his track, and it actually leveled out his ruts for him.
Smooth it out. Wow, that's great. That's wonderful. So you guys have been obviously slaying some hogs. That's great because we have a big hog problem here in the state of Texas. And, the more I think about it, I love hog hunting for the reason that I love wild pork and I love to barbecue and that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's making a problem, go away, but also feeding us, So there's a book I'm reading right now called Eating Aliens, which is all about invasive species coming into an area, and I kind of thought about that when y'all mentioned that, So.
Oh wow, pig!
It's kind of like I had a lady ask me today. Actually, she asked me. She said, "Well, y'all don't get paid for that?" And I said, "It's like this." I said, we love to do it, and if it wasn't for us having the means to do it, then we wouldn't get to.
Right.
So, it's kind of like, anything else you do, you don't get paid to go fishing.
Right.
Most people don't anyway, and it's about the same thing is what it is. It's something we really do like to do.
Sure.
And so, hey, what can you do, man? Then Prowler went out the other night. We run half the night, and we spent about $20 in gas and $40 in ammo, and we had a big time. What can you do for two guys can do for $50?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, it's good, clean fun, as they say, So for sure. But no, that's great. And so what are y'all using to take these hogs down, if you will? What kind of weapon are you guys with these days?
We're shooting an Olympic Arms AR in 6.5 Grendel.
Ooh, very nice. That's a heck of a hunting round right there. And that I didn't know Olympic made that particular caliber. That's really cool.
The 6.5 Grendel we're shooting 123 grain Hornady bullet.
Nice.
It's Hornady ammo is what it is.
Wow, that's great.
It's a pretty effective little round. You know, and the beauty part about it is it works in an AR platform.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I tried the 308. Yes, you know, 308's gonna nail one nearly every time you shoot him.
Right.
Right in his tracks. But you know, you're lugging around a big, heavy gun by the time you put that thermal scope on it, and it's heavy. And so
Sure.
when we found out about the 6.5 Grendel, well, you know, that fit the ticket on a lighter weight gun, easier to maneuver, and the ammo's about the same as a 308.
Cool. And I'm getting ready to go out to this podcast will be coming out after opening weekend starts, but I'm getting ready to take my beloved Mosin Nagant, 7.62 by 54 rimmed, war rifle out. Y'all have seen me play with those before, and I have a lot of fun and success in the field with them. But this one's been Cerakoted by a good friend of mine who owned a business that he just recently sold, and 203 grain bullet, gentlemen, 203 grain bullet for a 7.62. So,
oh yeah,
that packs a heck of a punch, man. So
that's a deadly round.
yeah, no, for sure. So and
then
then
that's a deadly round. That's 45 caliber Texan.
yeah, you cut out a little bit there, Bill. The 45 caliber Texan. You're talking about your Prowler pellets.
Yeah,
cool.
It works good. I sold a bunch to a guy in Florida, and he's tickled to death with them.
Oh, that's great. And so that's the Air Force Texan, Air Force air guns. We just recently, back in August, and I didn't even mention this on the podcast, back in August, I took my son up to the Texas Air Gun Show, which was held in up in the Mansfield area, Dallas area, North Texas. And we had a lot of fun, doing that stuff together. So it was a blast hanging out with you guys again in person. We don't do that enough these days.
Right, there's just not enough hours in the day and too far apart.
And we're what, 5.5, 6 hours away from each other, so we've only seen each other in person, about 10 times or so through the time I've been part of the. But we talk on the phone a lot, and we text, and we follow each other on social media, and I have a lot to thank you guys for, because y'all have really helped me. Y'all have educated me as a hunter. You've helped me educate others as a hunter and an outdoorsman. And, I can't thank you guys enough for guiding me in the direction in outdoor media that I'm in today.
We appreciate that, but, you've done a good job in what you've done for us. So, it's one of them deals.
Yeah.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours,
Exactly.
So it all works out. It all works out to everybody's benefit.
Yeah, that's true. But Bill, you've told me that you have been fishing lately in the Northeast Texas area. Tell me how that's going. I wanted to work some fishing into this show.
Lake of the Pines, we've been tearing up the crappie. We've caught 696 crappie in the last 2 months.
But who's keeping score, right?
Well, I don't have a choice. Every time we do something, it's a competition, no matter what.
Yeah, that's true.
You come in, who caught this? And I got, before I started, I'm sitting at the back of the boat, and I start putting my little cut mark on the crappie when I put them in there, no matter if I catch them or somebody else catches them, so I win.
We won't tell anybody that trick. Okay, that'll be our little secret.
Now we've been keeping up with it now for about 2 years, I guess.
Okay, cool.
And we've been fishing with purple and pearl jigs, tube jigs, and it is unreal. Well, we filled up 2 deep freezers full.
Wow, fillets. That's great.
Yeah, with just fillets. And
that's incredible.
We got into largemouth bass the other day on Lake Wright Patman.
Okay.
And
what were y'all throwing there?
That's spinner baits, buzz baits, and spinner baits.
Cool. Good deal.
Yeah, they're hitting the buzz baits hard.
There's nothing like a buzzbait, man. When you see one explode on the water, it's like watching a redfish swallow up a popping cork, I mean, it's just...
Well, 90% of the time, these fish that we're fishing, they don't explode. They just suck it under.
They just suck it under. It just, wow. That's
cool. We've been catching some big ones. To us, it's big, 6 pounds.
Yeah.
But they'll range between 3 and 8 pounds. So I went up there, I can't remember, one day after me and Mac went hunting that night, and went up there and we caught 9 bass that we brought back we probably caught 30, but we brought 9 bass back, and the least one weighed 3 pounds and 9 ounces, and the biggest one weighed 8 pounds and 6 ounces.
Ooh, some good fish right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. I just finished coming back from an event this past weekend, 2 weeks from when this show will air, and had an international student event with Bridges Ministry with Crosswater Outfitters, which is my fishing ministry I talk about on the show all the time. And man, you know, it was like on a floating dock, which is not the most ideal situation to have a bunch of people on a floating dock. It was up and down a path that was real rugged. You had to walk down to and watch your step and everything because it was real rocky. Those international kids coming from the countries that a lot of them come from, third world countries in some cases, didn't complain one bit. They were like, yeah, just I get to go fishing. You know, they a lot of them have never been in a boat, a personal watercraft, you know, like a bass boat or a bay boat or anything like that, a pontoon boat or anything like that. And just seeing the joy that they had from that day, man, that just fires me up. I didn't even do any fishing on this event, and I just had a blast being out there. So,
well, it's a lot of fun. I live for the outdoors. You know, I used to think I was a good hunter until I met Mac.
Yeah.
And, of course, we hunt for fish and we hunt for predators, too.
Sure, yeah.
But
it intermingles, yeah.
And
he's not going to tell you about the coyote I called in the other night trying to get in the door with him, but he missed. He ain't going to tell you about that.
Came pretty close.
About 12 steps.
Jeez.
I missed him. Standing dead still broadside.
With a rifle or with a shotgun?
Yes, sir, with a rifle.
Okay. I'm not going to give you too hard of a time about that because I've had some misses like that too. So.
Not me, but I am now.
I shot at a dove this year, and it was behind some brush and stuff. I was kind of sneaking up, and I still missed it because the shot hit the brush and not the bird. So it was right when it was just right it was rising out of some thick brush, and I hit the brush and not the bird. And I was like, I thought it was just going to be a slam dunk. I get that bird, but you know that goes. So dove season's like that.
If I've not learned anything from Mac, I've learned this.
Uh-huh.
We went hunting one day. We were predator hunting. This was daylight, and we were filming. And we get down there to set up. Hippie got a shooting stick.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, just give me the rifle. You film, and I'll hunt. I don't need shooting sticks.
Right.
He just laughed. He said, okay. So he called the coyote up. Coyote come out there, about 100 yards, and sat down.
Uh-huh.
He said, there he is, shooting. Bang. I don't even think I cut a hair on him.
No.
And I started noticing that the older I get, the more I need my shooting stick.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere we go now, we carry a shooting stick.
Well, and I said this on the last show, I think, you know, Jackson, my 8-year-old, and my only son and my only child, is getting to where he wants to be more interested in getting the outdoors and shooting sports and stuff. So we've picked up some air pistols and stuff that he can shoot that are weigh the same as a SIG or a revolver or whatever the case may be. And he's been enjoying that. But I took him out crossbow the other day, and he made a really good shot for his first time shooting a crossbow. But the main thing that we used, obviously, was always shooting sticks. You know, a good pair of shooting sticks are hard to replace when you're in the field and need a steady rest. I mean, that is so vitally important for accurate shooting.
Oh yeah, there's no, you know, there's no comparison. I mean, back the name come from shooting sticks. Well, I'm so old till, I really used a stick.
Old school. Ain't no school like the old school, Mr. Randy.
Old school. Wasn't nothing like a good hickory little old tree with a fork in it. Man, that was a real shooting stick.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But I've used shooting sticks nearly all my life. I mean, I've never been super steady without them. I've seen people that could shoot, but now, the shooting sticks, why not use them? Well, I even use shooting sticks, when I'm sighting in crossbows and stuff like that,
Right.
He sure does. I know that for a fact.
I've used a shooting stick sighting in a longbow or a compound bow.
Compound bow. Wow. Yeah.
I've got a long stabilizer, and you lay that stabilizer up in them sticks, and I mean, why not?
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, why not? You're trying to get the bow centered just like using a rifle, you know, to sight it in. And yes, it may be just a little bit different, but you don't put a lot of pressure on that stick, you know, with that long stabilizer. You just kind of rest it in there, and then once you get your bow sighted in like you want it, well, then that's your advantage.
Sure. No, that's good.
I've always said that Mac was the MacGyver of the hunting and fishing industry. He's going to figure out a different way to do something, and it's always better when he gets through.
Well, that's the thing I like
He's
about
the only guy I've ever seen that can drive down the road. I'm driving down the road. We're going to someplace in Alabama, and we had a DVD player that didn't work. It quit working. He took a pocket, what do you call it, a Swiss Army knife thing?
Right.
Isn't that what it is, Randy?
Yeah.
Anyway, he took one of these things. Yeah. And he took that DVD player apart, put it back together, going down the road with that one tool, and worked. And I said, right there, I'm going to watch this guy.
Wow.
Fix anything.
He had lots of little bitty screws, too.
Yeah, I'm sure a little bitty tough ones to get. And that's the thing I've liked about both of you guys over the years is y'all have taught me so much just by being innovative and coming up with new ideas. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things you've picked up over the years. I mean, my whole point in all of this is that we're always learning, and no matter how old we get, no matter how seasoned we are in the outdoors, there's always something to learn. And that's why I listen to podcasts like this. That's why I read articles. That's why I watch videos. I mean, all that stuff. It's just, if you want to know, the information's out there. You know, you just have to look for it and ask for it.
Yeah, when you get so smart that you can't learn no more, then you're probably in the grave.
Good way to look at that. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm guilty of is when I learn something, I'll tell like my grandson or some of the kids that's hanging around in my area, but I need to actually get it on record so that we can tell everybody else this. And that's what you're doing now.
Yes. Right.
Our legacy is what we've learned through the years.
Right.
And I've always said, I always thought I was a good hunter and a good shot and all that till I met Mac, and he taught me more about hunting than I learned in the 50-something years before that.
Absolutely. I've learned a lot from both of you guys.
Well, it's being willing to learn as much as anything else because, I mean, I don't care who you are. You don't know everything.
Right.
And, you know, I seen one time we had a professional hog guy. He brought his dogs and everything else, and he's going to catch pigs. We'd go out on this, and he knew the place, and we'd go out there and go round and round and round. And Mac finally told him, said, "Look, we ain't found a pig or nothing." And finally, when we didn't have any pigs, he said, "Well, where are they at?" So he said, "Over here." So we go over this one spot. Pig come out there like crazy. He's the biggest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This was
Well, you gotta think like the pig. If the ground's wet all around, where are you gonna be?
Right.
You're gonna be on the highest ground you can find.
You're gonna be on high ground. Yeah, that's true.
You ain't gonna be down in the swamp if you can keep from it. You know, if you're trying to lay down and rest.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty much that way with the pigs too. You know, they're gonna go to the nicest place they can find.
Right. You know? Exactly.
And the nicest place to them is probably the worst place that you'd think about.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
One thing I'm gonna kind of put a plug in for, and that's the sight mark stuff. That's what we're using is Pulsar thermal vision.
Using any of the Photon or using the Pulsar?
I'm using the Apex XQ38 LRF right now.
Which is Pulsar, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
But I bought mine just kind of I got hooked up with Pulsar, and I was using a lot of different products and everything. Well, you know, I didn't know nothing about it when I started.
Yes.
But I had two buddies of mine, and they don't do nothing until they research something to the bitter end, you know.
Right.
On the computer and all the blogs and all this stuff. And both of them come to the conclusion that you could spend more money.
Yes.
but you wasn't getting nothing for the extra money you spend with the Pulsar units.
Okay.
And so that's kind of why we use the Pulsar. And I've been around other units.
Right.
I'm not going to go into different names and stuff. But
Sure.
I've been around other units, and I was very underimpressed.
Yes.
A couple of them was extremely hard to navigate, to make work. And I just think the Pulsar is on the leading edge, of the industry for the money. Now, granted, you get up there, if you want to spend 10 grand, then it's better stuff.
Yeah.
But why do you need that to hog hunt when I can tell you there's something in the field out to 1,500 yards?
Yes.
And I can positively identify it at probably 3 to 4.
Yes.
I mean, what more do you need?
No, I agree, and I own one of the Sightmark family. The actual Sightmark brand, Cellmark, is the family of is the kind of parent brand to all the different families of 12 Survivors and Pulsar and Sightmark and all the different ones. But I ordered one of the Sightmark Core HX scopes, and I forget what it's variable zoom, and I forget what all the details are on it. But that's one of the clearest. It's not really the least expensive rifle scope I own, but for the quality for the money.
Let me tell you what happened on that. I had a 6.5 to 24, I believe it was, 35 millimeter tube core rifle scope on a gun. We were shooting 1,000 yards.
Wow.
Okay, I was shooting with two buddies, and both of them had $2,500 scopes.
Right.
And my scope was I think it was $600 or something like that, basically. Both of them, they had been down and they'd look through my scope and they'd raise up and they'd say, "Now, how much do you tell me this costs?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They could not believe the clarity, and they couldn't believe how it would track, backwards and forwards, just like their $2,500 scopes.
Right, and for a fraction of the cost. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I was amazed by.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's some of the they just couldn't believe it.
It's some of the best glass I own.
Yeah, and I could sit there in 1,000 yards and I could look through their scopes. That core was just as clear as those high-dollar scopes now.
Oh, Lord,
I mean, the quality's there.
Yeah.
They probably just need to go up on them so everybody would buy them,
Right. Yeah, no, I know.
If they put a $2,500 price tag on them, well, then that'd be great, yeah.
I really think, as far as, to make Bill's point, to make Prowler's point, the situation with, we're hunters and we want what we use to work, and we want it to be effective. We want it to be efficient. We want it to perform under adverse conditions. And I think that's, something that we definitely consider. And that's why we talk about products. The products that I bring, to the table that I've used in the field, gear reviews and stuff that I do, are just nonstop wonderful, tried and true.
Well, we've done it for years in what we've been doing in the Mac and Prowler. If this something won't work, we don't use it.
Right.
We don't use it and we don't promote it.
Yep.
Something that's good, we're going to talk about it. We're going to tell how good it is.
Sure.
But now something that's sorry, we're not going to get out there and bash it, tell how sorry it is.
Right.
But we're not going to use it.
Yep.
We're not going to promote it.
No, that's good. That's always been the going forward, mantra of our branding is if it don't work, it don't work for us, to be a little on the redneck side. So, but no, that's great. So yeah, there's definitely. So what else do you want to mention, Randy? I don't know if Bill's still there.
It's kind of what we've said all the time. Use what you got. Get out in the field. Take advantage of nature. And if you're not doing that, you're missing a lot in life.
Yeah, and that's one thing you guys have been very. welcoming to a lot of folks that are new to the sport of predator hunting, or new to the sport of fishing, or new to the sport of big game hunting. I mean, use what you have around you. Use what you can borrow even. Use what you have access to. You know, you don't have to go out. It doesn't have to cost you a mint to be able to do it. What I don't like about what's happening to hunting these days is getting so darn expensive, you know, to go out and have fun in the outdoors, you know, with lease prices going up, and then, you know, hunting ranches have high-end animals, and whatever the case may be. You can spend a lot of money in this business, you know, or in this sport. But it's just about having, you know, yeah.
That's one of the reasons that, you know, the bow industry is kind of one that's a real prime example of that. You know, for years and years and years, when I was started out in bow hunting back in the 70s, you know, well, every year they'd come out with a new, greater and better bow, you know. Well, it didn't cost a lot of money for you to trade or upgrade or whatever. Nowadays, with the price of bows, people don't buy new bows every year.
Right. They're quality.
You know, they buy a bow and they use it. They use it for years and years and years and years, you know. Well, you know, that kills the sales on new bows.
Right.
And same way, not just the bows, all the accessories.
Yes.
That goes along with bow hunting. You know, you take how much advanced the sights are today than what they were when I started out.
Absolutely.
How much advanced the rests are when I started out. The releases and everything, you know, is just so much advanced than when I started bow hunting back in the 70s.
Right, and the thing, that all being said, I've also mentioned on this show a lot that we're in the golden age of hunting, we're in the golden age of fishing, we're in the golden age of the outdoors. I mean, you can buy it once and have it for a lifetime in a lot of cases with outdoor gear, unless it's a consumable that you're going to use over and over again. You know, it's something that, you know, things are more durable and more, you know, it's more durable goods in the hunting industry and the fishing industry than it used to be, where you can buy and hold. You don't have to buy and sell and buy a new thing. I mean, how many people go buy a brand new release every year, or go buy a brand new bow every year? I mean, you get used to what you like and what's working for you, and you stick with it, you know?
You know, about the only thing in the industry that I think, and this is just my personal opinion, and it may offend some people, but now, you know, the gun industry has went backwards over the years, and it's due to cost. Yes. I mean, that's exactly what it is. But now, you know, the gun industry have went to plastic and all that stuff, you know.
Synthetic,
and the quality's not there. Some of the guns today that's out there is not going to be, they're not going to be handed down to great-great-grandchildren, right. You know.
Sure.
And, but, you know, and I understand why the gun industry did that. It's just like, you know, I'm just going to say Ruger quit making the M77
yes.
in anything under .223 caliber, I think. And somebody asked me one day, said, well, why did they do that? And I said, are you going to pay $700 for a 22? When you can buy the cheaper one, you can buy it for $3-something, you know. Right. So which one are you going to buy? And there's not many people going to pay the $700-800 for the M77 and a 22 when they can buy one for $300 and something.
Right.
You know, and I mean, I understand the industry, but yet that's the only industry that I know of that has went backwards in quality per se. Now you can still get the stuff if you want to pay for it. They didn't quit making it. You know, they just went to making more and more.
Sure.
The cheaper stuff.
No, that definitely makes sense. And you're right. I mean, there's some places in the industry where, you know, folks cut corners, but I'm just saying, you know, you've been around a lot longer than I have, Mac, and you get, you know, that insight.
Damn, you're making me feel old.
No, I'm not trying to make you feel old now. Stop that. But, you know, the thing that I think, that all being said, is that you've seen a dramatic shift from one end of the spectrum to the other, where things are a lot better quality and can last a lot longer in a lot of segments than what they used to. And, you know, I'm kind of a gearhead myself. I love doing product reviews. I love getting knives. I'm a knife guy. I mean, I've got a little bit of everything, and my life is just full of stuff. I got 3 crossbows. I mean, I've got, you know, 2 compound bows. I got bow fishing bows. I mean, like you guys. But, you know, the thing is, I mean, the idea is that the technology, all the crap in the world has been kind of weeded out, is my point, because of the market. And, I think that's a good thing for us as consumers. And I mentioned it on that show many times, that we're the ones that win because of that.
Right. Oh,
So,
I'm kind of like my granddaddy. He's dead and gone, been gone a while now, but he was like 80-something years old. And he said, I want to tell you something, boy. He said, people talk about the good old days. He said, wanting to go back to the good old days. He said, I got it made better right now than I've ever had it made in my life. He said, I got an air conditioner. He said, I got a refrigerator. He said, I got a car that I can get in and drive 1,000 miles if I want to.
right.
And
Yeah.
he said, the good old days, he said, we didn't have all that.
Right. Didn't have fast food on every corner. You didn't have any of that, Yeah, that's a good point.
And, the people that want to go back to the good old days, they probably never have lived in the good old days.
Right. It was a different world back then.
It's like, when I started out deer hunting, I was about 9 years old, and I started out with a single shot Stevens plastic. It was a plastic stock way before its time, because wood was hard to come by after the war.
Sure.
And so it had a plastic stock on it. It was a 16-gauge single shot. That's what I started out deer hunting with. And didn't have no clothes. We'd take bread sacks and put them on our feet to keep our feet from getting wet.
Well, now I just got.
We didn't have 4-wheelers and stuff.
Do what? Say that again, Bill.
I just asked Mac. I said, "What war was it? One or two?"
What war was it? 1 or 2?
Do what?
What war was it? 1 or 2? That's what Prowler just asked.
After World War II.
After World War II. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Y'all take.
And the gun was old when I had it. It wasn't new.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
It's just that Savage and Stevens back then,
Right.
the whole wood was hard to get by, and they came out with way ahead of their times on the. They didn't call it plastic. They had some name for it,
Right.
but it was plastic and kicked like a mule.
Lightweight too, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't have 4-wheelers, and we didn't have side-by-sides, and we didn't have all that stuff. We killed a deer and we carried it or dragged it or whatever we could do. It might be miles, because there wasn't a deer on every corner back in them days.
Yeah.
You might hunt all season, and you were lucky if you killed a deer. And killing a doe back then was taboo.
Right.
They'd put you in Guantanamo Bay if you shot a doe back then.
It was kind of a taboo thing. Yeah, you got to shoot your bucks and not your does.
Oh,
And now that deer science has improved so much, we know that's not the case. But you're right. I heard that from my grandparents way back when, and that just wasn't done back in the day. But it tickles me, guys. I was with this international kids this past weekend, and I said, 1 billion people sleep on a dirt floor every night. I think it's something like 80% of the world will never make a cell phone call. And we complain about our problems, that we've got a truck and we've got a house and we've got a boat and, all these other problems that we have, these first world problems. I mean, we don't realize how the rest of the world lives, I mean, we've got a lot to be thankful for, not take for granted. So.
Oh, you're absolutely right. It's like what I said about the good old days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a different time.
Yeah, everything is so much better today. And, if you don't think things are better today, just go out and sleep with your dog tonight, because he's probably sleeping better than some people did back in the 30s and 40s,
Mm-hmm.
Even that recent.
Right. No, that's a good point. Well, I don't want to keep you guys forever. I just wanted to at least, knock some topics around with y'all and just kind of see what was on y'all's mind. And like I said, it's just been a great journey. Want to thank you guys again for joining our show. And is there anything you'd like to close with?
Dustin, just keep doing what you've been doing. You've been doing a great job.
Thank you.
It reflects in where you're headed to, and so. Yeah. Just keep doing the good work. Everything will be all right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I've got a lot of listeners to the show now that kind of I converse with in social media, and got some folks that are way outside of Texas, folks that are in Arizona, folks that live in Texas, and folks that live, in Canada and other places. And it's just kind of surreal that a podcast can touch that many people, because people can listen to it in their own aura, on their own terms, in their own time. And it's just kind of a timeless creation in that regard. So whenever people are listening to this, thank you for listening. So,
I've told Bill Prowler lots of times that, we were too late in doing what we did. Instead of Mac and Prowler, we should have called it Two Old Farts Hunting. and at the time, the social media and this kind of stuff was all new, when we started in the industry. And until you come along, we wasn't smart enough to capitalize on a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have all the groups.
You've added that capability, to what we could do.
We didn't have all the groups and the social share. And I mean, all that has come just a million miles from when we started this in 2011, when I started on with you guys. And you obviously have been going on several years before then. But, it just, and the way people consume media now is just so amazing, on their own terms, on their own phones. And when I wrote my book in 2013 about that Bill Prowler edited, I predicted that we would have a Roku channel, and we would have, smartphones that we could download all our media on and watch all of our TV shows. And this is the it's happened, I mean, it's crazy.
Right.
So, I just, and the fact, and I know this is close to y'all's heart as well, the fact that I reached so many kids with this thing, with this microphone and this computer,
definitely.
That's the next generation. That's the generation I talk about every show, that I want to increase, that I want to teach the right things to do and not do. And, that's our future right there, and sportsmen right there is our kids.
Right.
So,
yeah, we were talking about it today down at work, and, we were talking about our grandkids and them, getting into the sports. And I've got two that could care less. Bill's got some that could care less.
Yeah.
But, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in 15 years from now?
Yep.
I won't have to worry about it. Probably. I hope I do, but, probably won't. But, what's going to happen to our industry in 15 years? The anti-hunters and the anti-gun people, if they'll just sit back and wait, we'll kill ourselves.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That's kind of the way I feel about it, the social media and all this stuff, it has really taken away from the kids being outdoors and doing the things we did when we grew up.
Right. Right. There's so many other distractions out there.
Social media, all this is good, but it's also got a bad side.
Right. It's a double-edged sword, if you will. Yeah.
And it's hard to, how do you compete in the outdoor industry with a game that a kid can sit and watch 24 hours if that's what he wants to do and the parents let him?
Right. Good point.
And so it's a really sad day in our industry when you really sit down and think about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. No, it is. I agree. And I mean, that's why I really am big about kids in the outdoors and getting your kids involved as early as you can possibly get them involved. My son was out there, jerking perch and having fun with me at the lake, as early as he can remember. But it's something you have to instill. And if it's not if it is already in your kids, well, concentrate on the neighbor's kids, concentrate on somewhere else you can make an influence, on something. And, I'm tickled every time I do one of those international student events, because those kids have never even, been around personal fishing like we have with jug fishing with our ministry or rods and reels. They just see it all done commercially in mainland China and these giant boats, and we've got a lot to be thankful for, but we obviously need to pass that on.
Yeah, right. I was just like you, when I guided, guided for 14 years.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up.
And, I could care less about some old guy that come out there and he had his fancy rifle and his fancy deal and tell me where all he'd been and what all he had killed. I could care less about that guy. The ones that I really enjoyed was the kids and the women and the people that never had done it before.
Right, the newbies, exactly.
That was the satisfaction I got out of doing what I did.
Yeah.
And even foreigners. I mean, I had foreigners that, from Germany and just, all over.
Sure.
And they'd come out there and they were just in awe about what went on and what we could do. And because, like you said, they had no idea.
Yeah.
They had no idea that kind of world existed.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. No, that's good. And that all being said, too, I just finished an article for this hunting school program that we're doing that I talked about earlier in the show. And basically the whole point of that article was you don't have to go to Colorado to kill an elk in Texas. You don't have to have a draw system or a lottery or tags or any of that to kill an elk, which is considered an exotic in Texas. Same with the bison, same with the red stag. All these animals are at our disposal. Now, is it an easier hunt, a much easier hunt in Texas than it is out in the western states? Absolutely. But I'm just saying we've got it really good here. Really good.
Right. Well, in all my guiding, I got a little short story I'll tell, and I'll try to make it as fast as I can. I had a guy come, he had two little boys with him. One of them was like 10 or 11, and the other one was like 8. The 8-year-old had MS. Okay?
Okay.
The 8-year-old couldn't hardly get around. Daddy had to help him do just about everything he did.
Right.
We go hog hunting, and this really changed my whole perspective on the hunting and hunting in a high fence. And but anyway, after the 10, 11-year-old, he killed a pig that morning. And the daddy come up to me. Well, I got to back up a little bit. Over there where we hog hunted, I had purchased some hogs to put in there to hunt from somebody that supposedly trapped them, but they were tame hogs.
Yes.
Okay. You could go rattle a feed bucket and here they would come. Okay?
Yeah.
Now then, the daddy come to me midday and he said, they called the little boy Tiger. And he said, is there any way that we can get Tiger close enough to a pig that he can kill it with his little chipmunk 22?
Mm-hmm.
I said, yes, sir. Okay, this changed my whole perspective on there's a place for everything.
Sure.
So we get a feed bucket, we go over there, I go to rattling that feed bucket and I pour out the feed. He gets Tiger up in his arms and he walks Tiger out there to them pigs and he shoots one of them in the head with that 22 and the pig falls over and you'd have thought that boy killed an elephant. He squealed and he had a fit and I was his hero from then on. They came back hunting with me 2 or 3 times after that, and I was Tiger's hero. And it changed my whole perspective, and there's a time and a place for everything.
Sure.
And it all goes back to sportsmen like us in a whole are our worst own enemies.
Yes, I agree.
We complain about the man hunting with an inline muzzle loader or hunting with a compound bow or a crossbow. Right. We don't like what he's doing. Well, there's a time and a place for everything. Just because you don't like it, if it's legal and it's moral, what difference does it make to you, or why should it matter to you?
Right. And you see that a lot.
It's all hunting and it's all in the industry.
You see that a lot in archery. I own 3 crossbows and only own 2 compound bows. Well, that's easier hunting, and that's this, that, and the. I'm like, it's hunting. Just call me a hunter. And the great Bob Hood, who left our magazine, died of cancer a few years ago, and I took over his job on some of the editorial stuff. He wrote a really good article before he passed away that said, just call me a hunter. Don't call me a bow hunter. Don't call me a crossbow hunter. Just call me a hunter. That's who I am. Absolutely. That is what I do. And
absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, because we have a lot of forces that are against us out there. We need to unite. We're a minority out there as hunters and fishermen.
That is the major problem.
We need to unite.
They will not unite.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean that may befall all of us one of these days down the road, but I mean I'm just saying I'm young enough to still see that change happening in the world of let's all get along with each other and be in unity with something. And I talked about this on the show before, especially when it comes to gun rights and pro gun stuff, but I definitely see the case for hunting because you're right, Randy, we're our own worst enemy. Exactly.
Oh yeah, definitely so. And I've seen it all my life,
Right.
If you didn't do it the way somebody else wanted it done, and I've told people this time and time again, they talk about tradition, traditional this and traditional that. If you want to be traditional, get you a sharp rock and a stick. Then you can call yourself a traditional hunter. Other than
trad
that,
hunter. Yeah.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah,
that's traditional.
True trad hunter is going and making your own spear and making your own, arrows and making your own self bow, and that's a true trad hunter right there. But yeah, it's great. But I think that's something that needs to be brought up on shows like this, where we need to at least talk about those harder issues that we are, fighting against ourselves, where if we could just all get along, I mean, life would be a lot simpler, it'd be a lot easier in a lot of ways.
When I was guiding, somebody come out there and they had a gun that maybe I didn't really care for or whatever, I couldn't tell that person, well, that's a piece of crap you brought to hunt with,
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't have got me nowhere.
That's right.
And so, everybody's their own,
Sure.
Like I said, if you're legal and you're moral, then do it.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's a good point. Well, I know we kind of lost Bill there for a little while, but really appreciate you guys both being on here and both doing this with me and for joining our show again.
Enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Thanks so much, Randy. And there they go, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Mac and Prowler. I'll put the information on how to look them up in our show notes. macandprowler.com. It's kind of like mac and cheese. You don't put a K at the end of Mac. MacandProwler. You can tell by spelling that fast. I've done this a few times, so worked with those guys. They got me started in media and got me started in understanding, how to sell in media and how to relate to people on camera and on podcasts and through writing, and really had those guys to thank for a lot of my success in the outdoor world. They really have encouraged me over the years to continue to keep trudging along and kind of living my dreams. So really excited about that. So if you would like to do so, if you've not done so yet, please subscribe to our newsletters and subscribe to our print and digital magazine. Magazine's only $19.95 for a year or longer. You can pay a little bit more, and you get discounts, obviously, with the amount of years that you got with us. And we have a new magazine comes out every month. We have a digital edition, which is even cheaper than the print edition, or you can get the digital with the print. If you give your email address, you can get signed up for that. And that is at fishgame.com. That is fishgame.com. The other thing I promised I would talk about on this podcast is, before I get into that, newsletters. Tactical Tuesday, Wildlife Wednesday, Thursday, State of the Outdoor Nation. Got to check those out. If you're not on the mailing list for those, we also have special partner sponsored promotions that come through there. We're getting ready to do one with Skull Hooker, which is an incredible product I've mentioned on the show before for mounting your Euro mounts, your Europeans skull mounts. And of just about any size game, they've got a Skull Hooker for you, which is a really cool thing. So check them out. That's coming middle of this month. And then what just launched this week, I'm so excited about this. I was part of this program from the editorial and the sales standpoint, so I kind of have both ends of this. Big & J and Swagger bipods. Now, if you've hunted deer at all, you know about Big & J. They make long-range attractants that are just awesome. They're full of a lot of aroma and protein and minerals and all kinds of different stuff that Big & J is made out of. But they attract deer like crazy. They have deadly dust. They have BB2 or BB squared. They have cubes, which are like the protein blocks. And they've got granulated formula. I mean, they've got awesome stuff. The Swagger bipods is one of the coolest bipod systems I've ever seen. It's the most versatile bipod system I've ever seen. They're owned by the same parent company, and so they went in together, and we're doing a program sponsored by both of them, by Big & J and Swagger. And you can check that out at fishgame.com/hunting school. All one word. fishgame.com/hunting school. Or if you visit the fishgame.com website, you should see a little slide up popper over the next few weeks at least that slides up from the bottom, and it basically has a link that you just click on, and that'll bring you to the landing page. Our digital publisher did a phenomenal job on doing that website, so that landing page and all the articles. Now, I've written 3 of the articles that are appearing in there, and you'll see my picture on a 4th one. So out of 12 or 13 posts and videos and articles and everything like that, I've written about a quarter of them, and been featured in about a quarter of them. And I've got a lot of really neat editorial stuff going on there. So that's what I've been working on lately, along with all the other stuff that I do. So anyway, thank you again for watching, reading, and listening. Thank you so much for being a part of the Texas Outdoor Nation. Please subscribe to those newsletters. You'll also get email blasts of all the different articles as we bang them out, send them in to email blast on that same mailing list that you have from the newsletter. And we're just having a blast over here. So thank you so much again for joining our show, for listening. Please also subscribe to the podcast. It does not cost you 1 red cent to subscribe to the podcast, and it is full of good information for your outdoor pursuits. Thank you so much again for checking us out, and have an awesome day in the outdoors. We'll see you next time.